My wife left me 2 weeks after our wedding to care for her dying ex, but the truth was even worse. I never thought I'd be one of those guys spilling his personal hell onto the internet. But here we are. Maybe writing this out will help me process the complete dumpster fire that's become my life. So buckle up, because this one's a wild ride. Let's rewind to the good part before everything went to hell. I'm Nate, 30, and up until recently, I was happily married to Vanessa, 28. We met at my buddy Jake's 4th of July barbecue back in 2019. Funny thing is, I wasn't even going to go. I'd just come off a brutal work week and wanted to lounge on my couch with a six-pack and some trash TV. But Jake, being the relentless social butterfly he is, wouldn't let it go. Said I needed to get back out there. Turned out he was right. The moment I saw Vanessa, it was like something out of a movie. She was setting up the food table, laughing at some joke, wearing this simple yellow sundress that made her stand out in the best way. She wasn't the usual Instagram perfect type Jake always tried setting me up with. She was effortlessly beautiful, the kind of girl who didn't need a filter to glow. We started talking about the weirdest thing, too, barbecue chicken. Specifically, how we both hated it. That dumb conversation turned into a 3-hour deep dive into our favorite foods, reality TV guilty pleasures. Turns out we were both secretly obsessed with 90 Day Fiancé, and the fact that neither of us could keep a houseplant alive to save our lives. After that, we were inseparable. 2 weeks later, we made it official. Vanessa was everything I wanted, smart, funny in the goofiest way, and just so easy to be around. She worked as a pediatric nurse and had the biggest heart. We didn't have those stupid fights couples always seem to have. No weird trust issues. No pointless drama. Just us. When I proposed last year on a hiking trip, because she loved the outdoors, I nearly blew it. My hands were so damn sweaty that I almost dropped the ring right off the cliffside. But she said yes, laughing and crying at the same time. And I thought that was it. That was my life. The woman I loved, our future together, all set in stone. We planned our dream wedding at a historic vineyard outside the city. Expensive as hell, but seeing her face light up made every penny worth it. The wedding itself? Perfect. Picture a golden sunset, fairy lights strung to the vines, and Vanessa looking like an actual goddess in her dress. I remember standing there, watching her laugh with her bridesmaids, thinking, damn, I actually did it. I found my person. We had so many plans. We wanted to travel more. Maybe buy a house in the suburbs next year. Kids were in the cards, but we wanted to enjoy a couple of years just being us first. She already had baby names picked out, wanted to name our son after her grandfather. I was on board with it all. And if you had told me, standing there at our wedding, that 2 weeks later she'd be gone, I would have laughed in your face. But life has a way of making a joke out of you. 2 weeks after our honeymoon, an unforgettable trip to Santorini. By the way, I was at home, grilling some ridiculously overpriced steaks from this fancy butcher shop downtown. Vanessa had been pulling brutal shifts at the hospital, and I wanted to surprise her. She was supposed to be home by 6, but around 5:45, she texted saying she was grabbing coffee with her best friend, Rachel. Now, let me tell you about Rachel. Rachel was a human embodiment of bad decisions. Always stirring up drama, always in the middle of some toxic relationship, always preaching about following your heart while making the worst life choices imaginable. But she was Vanessa's best friend from college, so I put up with her. By 8:30, the steaks were cold. Vanessa still wasn't home. I was irritated, sure, but figured maybe they got caught up talking. Then she finally walked in at 9 o'clock, and something was off. She had this look on her face. The same look she told me she got when she had to break bad news to parents at the hospital. Didn't even notice the dinner I had set up, just walked in and said, "We need to talk." My stomach dropped. For a split second, I thought she was pregnant. We had talked about waiting, but maybe life had other plans. Honestly, I wish that had been the case, because what she actually told me made me wish I was dead. She sat me down and started talking about her ex. Now I knew about him, Eric. They had dated for 3 years in college. Seemed serious. But they broke up because he took a job across the country, and neither of them wanted to do long distance. That was it. Or so I thought. Turns out Rachel had run into Eric's brother at a yoga studio earlier that week. And that's when Vanessa found out Eric had terminal cancer, stage 4 glioblastoma. The doctors gave him 6 months, tops. Vanessa had been texting him since then, and, get this, had even met up with him. Without telling me, she showed me their messages. Dozens of them. Emotional, deep conversations about his diagnosis, his treatment, their past. All while I was out here dropping $120 on steaks, thinking I was the best damn husband in the world. And then she said the thing that made my entire body go cold. Eric's dying wish is to spend his last months with me. I just sat there, staring at her, waiting for the punchline. But she was dead serious. She said this was bigger than us. That she had to do this. That it was the right thing. And the worst part? Rachel had been hyping this whole thing up, telling Vanessa it was fate, that she would regret it forever if she didn't go to him, that the universe was giving them a second chance. Yeah, thanks for the advice, Rachel. Real solid marriage support. I asked Vanessa point blank if she still had feeling for Eric. She started crying, which usually I would have found endearing. But at that moment, it just pissed me off. She said it wasn't about that this was bigger than our relationship, that she needed to do this to be able to live with herself. Oh, and here's the real kicker. She suggested we could take a break while she helped Eric through his final journey. I stared at her, feeling like the air had been sucked out of the room. Marriage doesn't have a pause button. I told her. Either she was my wife or she wasn't. She looked at me like I was the one being unreasonable. At 2 a.m., after hours of arguing, I was done. I told her she had a choice, stay and be my wife, or leave and be with him. No breaks, no separation, no coming back when she was done playing Florence Nightingale. She looked at me, eyes full of tears, whispered I need time to think, and walked out the door. And just like that, my wife, my best friend, was gone. The night Vanessa walked out, I just sat there, staring at the untouched steaks, my appetite gone. The house felt different, like something had shifted in the walls, in the air, like it wasn't mine anymore. I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face when she said she needed time to think. What the hell was there to think about? I gave her a choice. Us or him. By morning, she still hadn't called. No text. Nothing. I got through the day on autopilot, ignoring every notification on my phone, afraid it'd be her finally deciding to rip the bandage off. It wasn't until I got home that I finally checked. There was a long, overly apologetic message. She had chosen Eric. She framed it like some noble sacrifice. Said she hated hurting me, but she couldn't live with herself if she didn't do this. That Eric had no one else. That she hoped I could understand and, maybe one day, forgive her. I stared at that message for a long time. Then I did the only thing that felt right. I blocked her. I'd love to tell you I handled it like a champ. That I immediately moved on, hit the gym, started living my best life. But nah, the first few weeks were a haze of whiskey, takeout, and staring at the TV without actually watching anything. Jake, my buddy who introduced us, came over with a six-pack and the least comforting advice ever. Bro, at least she didn't cheat. Could have been worse. Could have been worse. Yeah, sure. My wife just threw our marriage in the garbage to go be with her ex, but at least she wasn't screwing him while I was buying her flowers. People kept giving me this weird mix of pity and admiration, like I was supposed to be proud of Vanessa for being so selfless. A few of our mutual friends even had the audacity to say I should be happy for her. Happy, as if I should celebrate my wife ditching me to play nurse for some dude who had already had his shot with her. Screw that. I couldn't escape it, either. Social media made sure of that. Vanessa wasn't exactly broadcasting her new relationship, but Rachel? Oh, she was all over it. Posting vague, cryptic quotes about fate and second chances with pictures of wine glasses and sunsets. The passive aggressiveness was off the charts. I unfollowed. Then I deleted every picture I had of Vanessa and me. Every damn one. And yet, I couldn't stop the intrusive thoughts. Couldn't stop picturing them together. I wanted to hate her, but I wasn't there yet. I missed her, and that was the worst part. About a month in, something snapped. I woke up one day and realized I was done feeling sorry for myself. I was done letting her choice define me. If she wanted to throw away our marriage for a past fling, then fine. But I wasn't going to sit around waiting for the universe to hand me closure. I got back in the gym, started hitting the mats at the BJJ gym near my office. Pushed myself so hard that my muscles burned for days, but at least I felt something other than rage. I worked overtime, took on extra projects, started saving up for, I didn't even know what. A new place, maybe, a fresh start. Then came the bombshell. A random Tuesday, my phone blew up with missed calls from a number I didn't recognize. Then I saw the text from Vanessa's sister, Lisa. Call me. You need to hear this. Curious and a little annoyed, I called back, and what she told me changed everything. Lisa's voice was tense when she picked up. No pleasantries, no small talk, just straight to the point. Nate, you need to know Eric never had cancer. I swear I felt my brain short-circuit. I asked her to repeat herself, convinced I'd misheard. But no, she said it again, even firmer this time. Eric never had cancer. Turns out the whole thing was a lie, a manipulation so deep it made my stomach churn. He never had glioblastoma, never had a terminal diagnosis. Hell, the guy hadn't even seen a doctor in months. The entire sob story? Fabricated. All of it. Why? Because he saw Vanessa's wedding pictures online. Because he couldn't stand that she had moved on. So he pulled the dirtiest, most twisted trick in the book, faking a terminal illness to get her back. And it worked. Betrayal revisited. I sat there, gripping my phone so tightly I thought it might shatter. Every emotion I had buried over the last few months came roaring back with a vengeance. Vanessa had left me, left our marriage, not for some noble, self-sacrificing mission, but for a con artist who played her like a damn fiddle. Lisa explained how she found out. Apparently, Eric's sister ran into Vanessa at a coffee shop and casually asked how he was doing with his new job in California. New job in California. Vanessa, obviously confused, started asking questions, and little by little, the whole truth unraveled. The family never knew about the cancer, because there was no cancer. When Vanessa confronted Eric, the bastard just shrugged and said, "Well, it worked, didn't it?" Like ruining a marriage was just some game to him. She lost it, packed her stuff, left him immediately, and now, here she was, desperate to talk to me. Lisa hesitated before adding, "She wants to fix things, Nate. She knows she messed up." I let out a laugh, sharp, bitter, full of something I couldn't quite name. Fix things? Oh! Now she wanted to fix things. I didn't respond to Vanessa's messages right away. She was blowing up my phone, texts, calls, even emails. I ignored them all, but she wasn't giving up. A few days later, she showed up at my apartment. I almost didn't answer the door, but curiosity, or maybe just a desire to see her squirm, won out. The moment she saw me, she burst into tears. I just stood there, arms crossed, waiting. "I'm so sorry," she sobbed. "I was so stupid. I let him manipulate me. I should have never left you." I didn't say a word, just let her keep talking. She went on about how she'd been blinded, how she thought she was doing the right thing, how she never stopped loving me. Then she said the words I knew were coming. "Can we start over?" I let out a slow exhale and shook my head. "Vanessa, the guy you married, he died the moment you chose Eric over me." Her face crumbled. "But I wasn't done. You didn't just leave me. You left us. You made a choice, and you don't get to undo it just because the rug got pulled out from under you." She kept crying, saying she'd do anything to fix this, that we could go to therapy, that she'd spend the rest of her life making it up to me. I let her talk, let her get it all out, and then, finally, I said the only thing that mattered, "I'm not your backup plan." And then I shut the door in her face. Slamming the door in Vanessa's face should have felt like the final chapter closing, like closure, like victory. But the moment the lock clicked, a wave of exhaustion hit me, like a freight train. I sat on my couch, staring at my phone as it lit up again and again with her name. I didn't answer. I had nothing left to say. And yet, I wasn't okay. Not even close. The next few weeks were a mess of conflicting emotions. One day, I felt like I was free. The next, I was drowning in anger and regret. I tried to keep myself busy, gym, work, fixing up my place. But every quiet moment was a trap. Vanessa had been my future, and now I was just some guy trying to patch up a life I didn't even recognize anymore. My buddy Jake dragged me to a bar one night, convinced I needed to get back out there. The drinks were strong, the music was loud, and the women were, well, available, but I wasn't feeling it. Not even close. I wasn't ready, and I hated that I wasn't. Meanwhile, Vanessa wasn't backing down. She tried everything, texts, calls, even showing up at my work once. Security had to ask her to leave. That should have made me feel smug, but it didn't. It just made me feel tired. Every time I closed my eyes, I replayed our last conversation. The way she cried, the way she begged, the way she said she still loved me, even after she threw everything we had away. I should have felt nothing. Instead, I felt something worse than anger, doubt. Had I really been that disposable to her? I deleted her number, blocked her on every platform, but she was still there, lingering in my head. Then came the moment I never saw coming. I was at home, halfway through a six-pack, watching some mindless TV when I heard a knock at my door. My first thought? You gotta be kidding me. I swung the door open, fully ready to lay into Vanessa again, but it wasn't her. It was Lisa. She looked nervous, clutching an envelope in her hands like it might burn her fingers. "You need to see this," she said, pushing it into my hands. I frowned but took it, tearing it open as she stood there, shifting on her feet. The words on the paper nearly knocked me flat. Paternity test. 99.9% probability. I looked at Lisa, my brain struggling to process what I was seeing. "You're joking." She shook her head. "Vanessa's pregnant. And it's yours." I just stood there, staring at her, feeling the ground disappear beneath me. Lisa sighed, rubbing her temples like she already knew how badly this was going to go. "She didn't know how to tell you. She's scared, Nate." I let out a bitter laugh. "She's scared? No, she's a coward. She threw me away for Eric, and now she wants back in because she's pregnant? She doesn't get to do that." Lisa exhaled sharply. "I'm not here to convince you of anything. I just thought you should know." I sank onto the couch, staring at the papers. The reality of it started to settle in. I was going to be a father, not in some dream scenario where Vanessa and I were still happy, still planning for our future. No, I was going to be a father in the middle of a complete disaster. A child wasn't something I could block or ignore like a text message. What the hell was I supposed to do now? Sitting there, gripping that damn envelope, I felt like my life had split into two different timelines. One where Vanessa had never left, never broken me, where we were still planning our future together. And the one I was actually living in, a nightmare of her making. But now there was a baby. No amount of anger or resentment could erase that. I barely registered Lisa leaving. She said something about Vanessa wanting to talk, wanting to figure things out, but I was too busy trying to wrap my head around the fact that I was going to be a father. A father. I'd always imagined what it would be like. Holding my kid for the first time, teaching them how to ride a bike, watching them grow into their own person. But not like this. Not in the middle of a broken marriage. Not after everything Vanessa had done. I stared at the paternity test for what felt like hours. My hands shook, my mind raced. Every instinct in my body screamed at me to shut this down, to walk away, to leave Vanessa to deal with the consequences of her choices. But then I thought about the baby, my baby, and suddenly it wasn't about her anymore. By the next morning, I knew what I had to do. I wasn't going to be some deadbeat dad. I was going to step up. But I wasn't about to let Vanessa waltz back into my life like nothing had happened either. So I texted her, "We need to talk. But this isn't about us. It's about the baby. Let's keep it that way." She responded almost instantly, "Nate, thank you. I didn't let her finish. I didn't need her gratitude. We agreed to meet at a quiet diner on the edge of town, a place where we wouldn't run into anyone we knew. I got there early, ordered coffee, and mentally prepared myself for what was bound to be the most frustrating conversation of my life. Then she walked in, and damn it, she looked different. Not just because of the pregnancy, though, yeah, she was showing, but because she looked hollow, like she'd been carrying the weight of this for longer than she'd admit. I didn't stand up. I didn't offer a hug. I just gestured to the seat across from me. She sat, wringing her hands, and for a solid minute, neither of us spoke. Finally, she broke the silence. Nate, this isn't about us. I cut her off. This is about the baby. So let's talk about that. Her face crumbled a little, but she nodded. And just like that, we started discussing custody, doctor's appointments, and what this co-parenting situation was going to look like. She tried, more than once, to steer the conversation back to us, to what we had, to what we could maybe have again. Each time, I shut it down. We're not getting back together, Vanessa. Her lip trembled, but she nodded. I know, she whispered. I never meant to hurt you like this. I exhaled sharply. Doesn't change the fact that you did. And that was the end of that. By the time we left the diner, we had a rough plan in place. I'd be involved, no question about that. I'd go to the doctor's appointments, help prepare for the baby's arrival, and once they were born, we'd figure out a custody arrangement that made sense. But there was no us. Not anymore. I watched Vanessa walk away, her hand instinctively resting on her stomach, and for the first time, I didn't feel anger or betrayal or even sadness. I just felt ready. Whatever happened next, I wasn't running from it. I was going to be a damn good father, with or without her. The next few weeks were a roller coaster. I attended my first doctor's appointment with Vanessa, sitting in that waiting room, surrounded by happy couples holding hands and excitedly talking about baby names. I felt completely out of place. When the doctor asked if I had any questions, I froze. What the hell was I supposed to ask? I didn't know the first thing about babies. After the appointment, Vanessa tried to start a casual conversation, but I kept it short. We weren't friends. We were parents now, nothing more. The hardest part was explaining everything to my friends and family. My mom was surprisingly supportive, though she made it clear she hadn't forgiven Vanessa for what she did. My buddies, on the other hand, they didn't get it. Dude, why are you even doing this? Jake asked me one night over beers. She screwed you over. You owe her nothing. It's not about her, I told him. It's about my kid. That shut him up. Slowly, I started making preparations. Bought a few books on parenting. Researched custody agreements. Made sure I had legal protection in place. This wasn't about emotions anymore. It was about doing what was right. One night, Vanessa called me out of the blue. Can we talk? She asked, voice hesitant. About the baby? I clarified. No, about us. I sighed. Vanessa, there is no us. She paused, then said something that caught me completely off guard. I know. I need to say it, Nate. I was wrong. About everything. About you. I should have never left. And I know I don't deserve anything from you, but I wanted you to know that. For a moment, I didn't know what to say. Then, finally, I answered. Thanks for saying it. But it doesn't change anything. And this time, when I hung up, I felt nothing at all. Holding my son for the first time, everything else faded away. The betrayal, the anger, the endless nights spent questioning everything. It didn't disappear, but it no longer had power over me. This tiny, fragile human in my arms wasn't just my responsibility. He was my future, and he deserved better than the weight of the past. The hospital stay felt like a time warp. I barely noticed how many hours passed, how many nurses came and went. Vanessa lay in the bed beside us, exhausted but watching me with an expression I couldn't quite place. Guilt? Regret? Hope? Maybe all of the above. But I wasn't focused on her. I was focused on him. He was perfect. The way his tiny fingers curled around mine, the way his small face twitched in sleep. I couldn't believe something this precious had come from all the chaos that had wrecked my life. I traced my finger across his cheek and whispered, "I've got you, little man, no matter what." Vanessa spoke hesitantly, breaking the silence. "Do you want to name him?" I looked at her, surprised. The choice felt monumental, but in that moment, I already knew. "Lucas." She nodded, a sad smile tugging at her lips. "Lucas it is." I didn't know if she was remembering all the plans we once had, picking baby names together before everything fell apart. Maybe she was realizing how far we had drifted. Maybe she finally understood that there was no way back. 2 days later, as I packed my bag to leave, she finally said it, the thing that had been lingering in the air between us since the moment she saw me holding our son. "Nate, I know I can't take back what I did. I know I lost you, but I need you to know that I see it now. I see everything I threw away." I looked at her and felt nothing, not hatred, not sadness, just a quiet acceptance of what was. "It doesn't matter anymore, Vanessa." Her eyes shimmered with unshed tears, and she swallowed hard. "I just hope one day we can be friends." I didn't respond. Maybe we could, maybe we couldn't. That was a decision for another day. Today, all that mattered was getting my son home. Bringing Lucas home was surreal. My house, which had felt empty for so long, suddenly had life again. The silence was replaced with small whimpers. The air filled with the scent of baby powder and formula. I had no idea what I was doing. The first night was hell. He cried for hours, and nothing I did seemed to calm him down. I walked circles around the house, bouncing him, whispering reassurances I wasn't sure he even heard. But I kept going, because that's what being a father was. Showing up no matter what. The exhaustion was different from anything I'd ever experienced, but so was the love. This fierce, overwhelming need to protect him, to be better for him. I made mistakes, lots of them. I fumbled through diaper changes, miscalculated bottle temperatures, panicked over every tiny noise he made. But every day, I got a little better. And every day, he looked up at me with those wide, trusting eyes, as if he already knew I wasn't going anywhere. Vanessa and I settled into a rhythm. We weren't friends, but we weren't enemies either. Just two people bound together by the life we had created. We coordinated schedules, attended doctor's appointments together, and communicated when necessary. Nothing more. She tried, once, to talk about us, about what we had lost. But I shut it down before she could even finish her sentence. "This isn't about us, Vanessa. It never will be again." She nodded, and that was the last time she brought it up. Months passed, and life settled into something new. I found joy in the little things. Lucas's tiny smiles, the way his fingers wrapped around mine, the late-night feedings where the world felt still and quiet. I wasn't bitter anymore. I wasn't angry. I wasn't stuck in the past. Vanessa had made her choices, and I had made mine. And mine was simple. I would be the best damn father I could be, because Lucas deserved that, and so did I.